This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
Yo, it is on site. It's on site today for that Doug Polk. You hear?
What happened?
It's the hand lick for me, really. You know, it's the. I think that's what got the extra.
Touch.
I think the hand lick is what got the extra skin on skin. Kind of, real crisp. Tell us about it, shit. What did this poor man do to you?
Did you have a bad beat?
What do you mean tell us? You think I self-snitch? Like, what's wrong with you? What this man do to you?
What is this, a PF Chang's? This guy just got up in your shit?
Yo, stop trying to get me to snitch. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Allegedly.
He's not going to
Chin
self-report.
Got into an altercation.
This is one of the funnier bits that the internet has presented to us. I saw that slap like 3 weeks ago and didn't think anything of it. But then somebody tagged all of us in it yesterday and said, somebody come get Chin.
Get your mans.
And then someone was like, Chin always seems so chill on the podcast. I can't believe you would do this. Was this near the win? And Conrad's like, yeah, it must have been. It was near dinner break. He's just like totally serious.
I wonder if that guy really thought it was.
He did. He said you guys got me.
I know you had hands like that, man, you know?
That was a nasty backhand.
It's a disrespectful backhand is what it is. Like, that's not a punch to the face. That is a come get yours kind of.
Imagine knocking somebody out with a slap.
He was already like
backhand.
50% out.
That was an aggressive slap, Ryan. It wasn't a normal slap.
It was an aggressive
He was already
slap.
kind of.
That was a full force wing.
That was not a tortoise slap.
No. The tortoise moves slowly.
Oh, man, I wish Andre were here. There's a sex joke in there somewhere. For the weekend that he just had.
Wow,
This is what happens when people aren't here.
This is what I do. I did this to you yesterday, but you haven't watched the show.
What did he say? What did he say?
Fuck, this is why we have to go back and rewatch the
What
podcast.
did he say?
I honestly don't remember. I swear to God.
Sorry, John, I
Chat
don't
will
remember.
tell me.
It was like the last 30 seconds I go, she's going to kill me for
Hey.
this.
Oh, man.
What was it? Something about my butt?
yeah.
I think it was like something about you shitting or
I don't want
remember.
to say.
Oh,
It was
that's what. That's
I have a
exactly what
feeling
it was.
I know what it was about.
No, 100%. I was trying to close the show, and DePaulo kept interrupting me because that's apparently the only reason we have him on the show.
Yeah.
Is to just interrupt me.
Yes.
And I was just like,
You're so tight about it.
I know. He's so
just
tight
like-
because the audience loves it, but he is sitting here just in pain the whole time.
it's so hard, man.
Take one for the team, Burke.
It's one thing to get interrupted. It's another thing when you get interrupted, he just doesn't say anything important. But I'm trying to close the show. And I was like, we've been going for like 2 hours and 20 minutes already. Like, this is ridiculous. And then I was like, I need Melissa here at the hour 45 mark to be like, we got to close. I got to shit.
Yeah.
I just got to shit. If you don't end this show right now.
Well, yeah, it's like clockwork. I'm on a regular schedule. I have very good bowels, and I take a probiotic every day.
Could it also be because you have 2 full Vente coffees?
Yeah.
I have one. And yes,
I saw you double bagging today.
I had a sandwich.
Okay.
But yes, it is also because I'm usually done my coffee around that time. I'm very regular. I'm very healthy. My body's like super good.
I didn't ask.
Well, now you know.
Now you know.
Now I know. You guys have a day off today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to everybody in this room for bagging. You guys are the best in the biz, obviously. Solve for Why representing in day 2.
Real professionals.
Landon and I are off for quite some time. We'll be taking a 364-day break.
No, I'm going to play the 1K.
The
Burke, you're gonna play the
little
one drop.
right?
That's the Berkey special. Come on.
Now, how do you not play the one?
So what's the
For
deal?
charity.
You get 20K extra chips for $100.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Well,
pretty good.
it's not an option, right?
It is an
Yeah,
option.
it is
It
an option.
is.
You can not pay the 111
That's so
and
ridiculous.
then get like, yeah. I don't think anybody's ever done that. Why would
Hold on.
they?
I might. What's the
It's
deal
probably
here?
for tax purposes that they have to
So
separate it.
you start with 20K, and it's our levels. But if you add the 111 that goes to charity to the One Drop Foundation, you get an extra 20K. Start with.
That's a big
Are
jump.
you contemplating that one, Burke?
It's not like how WSOP.com does it, where you should just never fucking add on.
Oh,
What do
like
you mean?
Max Late Reg or whatever, where the add-on is worth
It's like you have to pay double.
2 big blinds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
No, but like this one's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done the math on it, but like
I'm sure it's profitable
it
to
seems profitable.
add.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always funny that they pose it as, oh, well, it's a tax write-off because it's charity or whatever. It's like, I gamble for a living. This whole fucking ticket's a write-off to me.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to reframe things here. Like, actually, it might even be worse because you're only allowed to write off a certain percentage of winnings, I think, a year through taxes. Not that the 111 is gonna dent that,
right.
but
I don't know how many times you're gonna buy in.
right. But I think, like, for our purposes, would rather it not be a charity thing, right? Like, would rather it just be rake or whatever because we get to write the whole ticket off as a loss anyway.
Oh yeah.
Although maybe
It might
I just don't know enough. Maybe you get to carry it forward if you have a losing year.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
That's the tricky part,
Yeah, who knows?
especially for gambling.
One of these days we'll have a CPA on here. We'll just really dig in through all the
I need
shits.
one.
So everybody made it. You all have varying stacks.
made it.
Why
No
y'all
stats?
keep saying everybody when Landon's not in?
Yeah,
I'm not in either.
but you.
I know,
Yeah.
you keep
Yes,
saying
like
everybody,
an
like
hour?
and I just see Landon like
Landon and I sacrificed our lives for the greater good of the community.
that
66% of the podcast made it.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Andre got as far as Landon and I did, and he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't even
You
buy
played
it.
this year?
No.
Oh.
That's the point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just here to do the podcast.
I was actually impressed at the speed of your exit. I didn't think anyone was gonna. I didn't think anyone was gonna beat mine.
Christ, bro. God damn.
I didn't think it was possible to bust the main faster than I did.
Why are you speaking at the same time as him?
Because I'm trying to defend. Okay, go. Seriously, fuck that. No, go. I was impressed too,
defending
actually.
What were you gonna say? I just want to know what you were saying.
Landon just wrote, I got deuces 3 times for the last hour.
Chin's over there like, you know what? Guapo missed it.
Anyways, what were you saying?
I was needling you a little bit. I was saying I didn't think anybody could possibly bust faster than I did.
Oh yeah.
But,
I didn't see a single 4-bet pot yesterday, and somehow you were in
played
like
4
of them in the first hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept getting good hands, and
what was your table like?
I mean, it was a good table.
Yeah.
I got a great table.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I had a down bad table.
I got a
for
great
sure.
table where I kind of, yeah.
Busted.
You get in the
Great
mix. You get in the mix. Honestly, though, like I think we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and
A lot of it yesterday.
Well, we talked a lot about it, yeah. But one point that I didn't make strongly enough that I think is very important is that the contradiction between the mindset of it's the main event and the main goal is to survive day one versus estimating where your win rates exist and where they're the highest really conflict, because for the vast majority of good players, your win rate is the absolute highest in the day one phase.
Yeah.
When you're playing hundreds and hundreds of blinds deep. So the idea that like somehow if you're a good player in the field, you should
Play passive.
clip that win rate by a large significant number in order to ensure that you get to later stages where your win rate is lower seems crazy. Now, the exception to that is obviously like if you get the massage table from yesterday with 8 grandpas who are enjoying
amazing.
retirement, like you adjust your strategy, but not because it's the main event and you care that much about getting to the next day, but because your win rate is now accumulated differently.
Yeah.
It is through lowering risk because the table naturally lowers your risk.
Yeah.
Right? Like these guys play so transparently and so face up and their strategies are so poor that you get to play an exploitatively lower risk style. So I think like, you know, it was tough because every time we'd go point counterpoint, it was, so this is my point. He'd go, yo, let's hear about how you got fucked. And it's like, okay, well, this isn't going to go all that well. But I think like something that was overlooked was we were talking about like close spots. But when we're talking close, we're assuming that it's like 0 to slightly plus EV. And I think it's easy to categorically lump everything that feels uncomfortable into a close spot.
Yeah.
So the example I gave was last year I busted day 5, small blind versus button versus big blind, where I 3-bet jacks to 8 blinds, big blind snap ripped for 40. And I called off and he had ace king and I lost. And DePaul was like, yeah, I think that's really standard, like in the money, like you have to win all-ins to make it deep, yada, yada, yada. I go, okay, what if that happened on day 1 and the big blind exposed to you that he had ace king? He goes, I'd fold. And it's like, why? Like, this isn't a close spot. You're making hundreds of big blinds, like you're adding hundreds of big blinds to your win rate by being all in here. So what is the incentive and drive to fold?
No, you're pushing 2 bigs.
It sounds
Obviously,
like he's.
You're pushing
two bigs in the spot.
Right, but
over,
when you
over
add-
100, yeah, it's
That's how
200
you.
bigs.
That's how you measure win
I
rate.
understand, but there's still future game sim of like in that spot, which you guys didn't talk about. Like
Well-
if you like, yeah, you're pushing 2 bigs in that spot. Okay, fine. Like that is a lot. I'm not gonna deny that. But there is risk of ruin of the tournament and the future game sim of finding better spots, so to speak.
Well, that's the whole point. Is that you can't control risk of ruin. It always exists.
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So like, yes, there's an impending risk of ruin to this exact situation, and 47% of the time or whatever, you're going to bust this event in this spot.
Yeah.
But that's compounding throughout all of the hands. There's always a risk of ruin, and as your blinds decrease, that risk of ruin naturally increases. So this notion that because levels are longer, you can identify more clear spots becomes kind of nonsensical, right? What you're actually saying is that I think if I wait long enough, I'll cool somebody off. But you have the exact same opportunity to be cooled off as you do to cool somebody off. Like, we can't really think about strategy in terms
That's
of...
not necessarily true.
Go on.
Because, I mean,
It's like the
coming
guy,
from the
it's like-
Tortoise, well, like, yeah, of course, like, you could just get set over set, I guess, either way. But, like, there's a lot of times where someone makes that, you have a chance to have the big hand and someone else make a massive mistake because people are
like
playing
the
really
aces-
bad. And it's where you would not make that mistake if the roles were reversed.
Well, you're just saying that you're winning more in the coolers.
Think about the aces versus kings,
course.
where Mark Goon just like gets aces in 15 minutes in versus kings. Like that, you would never stack off there with king.
Yeah,
That all happened post. I'm not so sure that I wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't
Right.
necessarily think
Maybe
that that's...
I don't know what happened post, but I know people make grand errors
Right.
for hundreds of
For
blinds.
pals and pals and pals.
But you understand that it's a
wouldn't-
grand error to play a 4-bet pot with kings level 1, catch a 9 high board, and not
okay.
not end up...
That was a bad example. But,
Yeah.
but like there's examples throughout the entire tournament where people are like literally torching money.
No, 100% true. But as your stack decreases, your ability to capitalize on those spots also greatly goes down. You can't fade the risk, right? Like, no matter what, you're going to have to play an uncomfortable all in. So it doesn't really matter if it's day 1 or day 3, right?
Yeah, that doesn't matter. It's true.
And I think that this emotional attachment that we have with the main event, because it's an annual event that only happens once a year and it presents the biggest opportunity in poker, we cling to it until we reach a certain comfortable stage, which is generally post bubble, right? So assholes get tight on day 1 and day 3, and day 2 is like where you see largely
it's moving day, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah, I mean, you just see like a
but
lot of the biggest
It
mistakes.
still is a different, unique event because you now get to play this amazing high buy-in event with relatively very, very soft field for a lot longer, right? Because so you're getting a better chance to take advantage of the weaker players the longer you stay in the tournament.
Right.
You're saying that by coolering them.
Yes.
No.
Not only
Yeah.
them,
them making a
also
big mistake and
overfold in a
giving
lot
you
of spots,
pals.
too.
Them making a mistake basically implies that you are coolering them by having a good hand.
It's not entirely true.
That's-
I don't agree with the
That's
cooler
not
part.
coolering them.
Like
It's like
that
them
every
they
instead
just
of a set.
overfold too. Like
Right.
they'll overfold to
They-
3-bet. They'll
right.
never 4-bet you. You see bet. They fold. Like
Yeah.
Right, but a lot of
Yesterday
what you're
was not a
saying is
cooler.
risk-taking strategies, which are...
very low risk. Burke.
No,
Like-
putting in 3 and 4 bets is not low risk.
Just 3-betting somebody.
I
It's
mean,
not that much.
when
Like putting
you-
in 100 bigs with jacks or whatever it was, like 50 bigs, 40 bigs. That's
40 bigs.
okay. Yeah, like that's a good hand. But like, yeah, I mean, it's fine. Obviously, Burke, for you to put the jacks in.
I don't even think it's a question on day 4. And I really don't
It's not
think
even a question on day 1.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question on day
Yeah,
1
it's fine.
either. But
Wait,
But I think what you're trying to extrapolate is
no,
a little
no.
different.
I was extrapolating a day 4 hand or day 5 hand from
Gotcha.
last year out
Sorry.
to a day 1 spot.
Yeah.
I think people do take too thin of
I-
edges on day 1.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't even think it's just day 1. I think it's like throughout the entire event. And I think the reason why day 1 is highlighted is because people, you get such a mixed bag of players. You don't know if they are playing overly tight because this opportunity means too much to them. You don't know if they're playing overly loose because they're recreational and they just want to splash around and have fun.
Had said something in his story that I thought was good about the main event, that he said you're basically playing 9 games. Like, your job is to sit there and figure out like who you're playing against, and you're playing against 9 different players, and it's all going to be 9 different games versus each one.
Yeah, I think that becomes less true as the tournament advances.
Yeah.
Right,
You're
as
going to
you
get more closer to the mean as the you know.
As you get into day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, people become a lot more predictably tight.
Right.
And that's just like overwhelmingly true of the entire field because the pressure builds the amount of money available, and that's where the cream really rises to the top.
Yeah.
I think on day 1, it's more of a crapshoot of figuring out everybody's individual strategy and approach,
Right.
and how to possibly
It's a lot more like a cash game.
how to move off of equilibrium according to that, right?
It's also probably one of the best, maybe the best tournament to exploit the bubble that exists. So if
Agreed.
you can get to that point,
The bubble's
You
usually
want
like sub
chips.
10 hands.
You want
What's that?
chips around the bubble.
The bubble's usually like sub 10 hands
Well,
though.
Really?
people start
it's 'cause
it's a
getting
long
real
time.
tight
The
when you're
field's
like
big,
200 out. Like,
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, so it's just like if you have any kind of stack and you're like
Yeah.
you can really
worth a
just
lot.
increase your EV like exponentially.
But
on
a
the
lot
bubble.
of that building takes place on day 1. That's the big point I'm trying to make, right? Like,
think, yeah.
most of the people arguing against a day 1 strategy that will get you busted, so to speak, at some frequency are the ones that aren't making very much money at deep stack poker,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
I
the-
think
go ahead.
I think that it's more day 2 and part of day 3 that is where you
it
build that.
just can't be true.
You just get so much free money in day 1.
Yeah.
There is so much free money. There wasn't like I had very good spots on day
Free
1.
money comes in different ways.
What?
Free money comes in different ways and shapes and forms versus different people. Because there's some people you can play a low variance approach. There's some people, like, let's say you have ace king and you see the guy jam blind for 100 bigs. You calling or folding? He jams button, you in the big on with ace king. He jams blind. He doesn't look at his hand and just jams blind.
Continue with your story. We know our answer.
What is it?
I'm calling.
Okay.
Most
so, like,
people fold.
That's high variance,
calling.
right?
Stop.
That,
Sure.
There's
No,
free-
a lot of people fold. Somebody put a
He's
question
for
up on
sure
Twitter
jamming
and said,
blind?
Who the fuck is folding and put that person on my table?
a lot of people put listen, somebody put a poll up on Twitter that said, if all 8 players shoved to you and you look down at aces in
Oh
the
my
big blind,
God.
would you call or fold?
Oh yeah.
It's like, what hand are you calling?
Wait, if
Fist
all
pump
8
call.
players shoved for that was like the first hand of the main
I
event.
think you win
Yeah.
half the time.
No, you want a quarter.
Quarter of the time.
Roughly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
25% of the time.
Yes, sure.
So 25% of the time you have an 8x starting stack. 75% of the time you
so
go home.
sick. Imagine.
Well, 75% of the time you go home. And
Yeah.
people were arrogant enough to believe that taking the 75% of having 1 starting stack and moving forward is higher EV than having 8 starting
Yeah,
stacks
it's ridiculous.
25% of the time.
Yeah, it's just people just don't want to bust. Like
It's the emotional
Yeah.
attachment
it's the
to the
emotion-
game.
right? 100%.
People
People are
see
like,
this
I'm going to
tournament-
bust 75%.
You'll
of the time.
never have a higher EV spot
Yeah.
than to have 8 starting stacks a quarter of the time.
Right. Imagine having 600,000
against
chips in
people.
level 1.
Yeah.
And what you could, that ends up being probably a lot more because you can. yeah.
Honestly, this is
You
a
end up
crazy
with a
this is a
million
crazy
at the end of the
parallel, but
night.
it's why wealth is so difficult to accumulate for people. Because there are emotional milestones that you reach along the way that don't allow you to take compounding risk.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow you to grow your wealth and your units. And it's the exact same thing in tournaments. When tournament life supersedes the way that you are increasing your bottom line, you kind of just die.
Yeah.
And I do agree that ICM exists from hand 1. The main event is like the event of the world that exemplifies ICM exists from hand 1, right? But we still have to acknowledge that if the average stack level 1 is 300 big blinds, that will never happen again in the rest of the tournament. So your highest available win rate is exactly at level 1
For
for talented players.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah. So, like, It just really seems that the vast majority, when it comes to this tournament specifically, and we talked about this yesterday, kind of view it as a satellite of like you play the tournament, and then when you cash, now the tournament really begins.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just not true. Sometimes you just have spots where you have to take either a slight equity advantage or based off of chips already in the pot, where it feels like a lot, and it sucks. But if you fold, you give up the entire spot itself, and that's worth more.
I will say that to counter that a little bit and to counter myself a little bit, I will say that I think that this tournament specifically and the model that you would build in order to try to optimize it is sensitive enough that there may be some situations where we're making like a half a big blind taking a spot and it's incorrect according to ICM.
That's what I was thinking. Like if you're like it's hand one of the tournament, would you take like a 51-49 spot?
No.
Like no, right?
Right.
There's a point where you would take the spot and where you wouldn't as a favorite because you know that your play is going to allow you to have
to outperform on the aggregate.
On the equity,
but,
right, correct.
but also what you're saying in that situation, so if you're taking the 51-49 for stacks, you're only winning like 2% of a starting stack, right? Obviously, your win rate overall for level 1 is much higher. Your expectation is much higher than 2% of a starting stack. So that's a clear pass, right? We can definitely begin to like very roughly model out how all of this plays. I guess the whole point that I'm getting to is like, you know, DePaulo was criticizing the squeeze with 10-9 suited or whatever the case may be. And it's just like, well, when we look at the strategy over the aggregate, if we start to cut out everything that is 0 EV or winning slightly, then all of a sudden the strategy as a whole begins to really suffer.
Yeah.
And all of the money that you were making in that cluster of good hands where you're trying to win the blue line, right? That was the general strategy I was saying you should execute. Like win the blue line and maximize when you do because you get soft tables. Well, if you cut out all of these low EV hands, even the worst players in the world will just stop paying, right? And now you're really decimating your win rate simply because you're unwilling to take on a little bit of risk.
We saw it in the Hustler game where it was like, oh, like I'm not going to pay Phil. Like everyone like started laughing. Like, they're like, oh, we're not going to give Phil any money, right? And just to kind of go back to
and you'll see it on day one for him throughout his career. He doesn't bag a lot.
Yeah, but he doesn't bust the tournament either, and
Correct,
like that's fine, whatever. But going back to the 51-49 for stacks, like it also depends how much is already in the dead pot. Like let's say you have aces and you 5-bet someone and they call, and the guy shows you a flush draw, and there's half of your stack in the middle, you have half behind,
that's completely
and he puts
different.
it in.
Oh, right, obviously.
So like obviously
Products
it
are
just
different.
depends, and sometimes you have to run it, and day 1 is a better time to do it than day 3 right on the direct bubble.
You just build so much future opportunity on day 1.
I think that's a better way of looking at it. But the thing is that the reason why people can't look at it that way is because 90% of the field is not a significant favorite, right? Like if we actually were able to take the 8,000 registrants and, you know, somehow scientifically rank them and give them true markups, you would see that like 90+% of the field is breaking even, or they're like 1.05 or lower.
Yeah.
Right. And because of that, they can't really see day 1 as an opportunity. Instead, they see day 1 as a necessary hurdle. And they've played it enough to know that they're better than a lot of other people they sit with, so it's still profitable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would start to see the day 2 entrants really, really maximize.
I'm curious to see how many they actually get.
I am too, because the numbers are way down this year for day 1.
I know, but I think they're going to get a lot registering on day 2.
I think there's so much value for
Wait,
so
what do you
many
mean the
players
numbers
to
are
just
down?
come in on day 2.
I think there's like 300.
They were projecting this to be this main
We
event of
thought
all
like
time.
10,000, right? And
Well,
we
at
only
least
got
9.
Yeah, now
At
we
least
only got
9.
8.
It was 7,800 yesterday. So they were 1,000-ish off of the most all time. And that's including people that pre-reg for day 2. So I don't think that number is going to change too much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you guys think that? How many?
I think we see like maybe a couple hundred.
Yeah, I
The
think like
majority
80,
won't
I
be
could
on,
see like
on
500,
tomorrow, right?
like on
500
on
is
both
a lot.
both day 2s.
well,
Like
remember, some were
combined.
already
Oh,
pre-regged.
Right.
And that number was already counted.
Okay.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Right.
You
So
know,
And 250 on each
Wait.
day. I mean, that's like multiple hours
That's
of
a
late
lot.
reg.
Right, but like there might already be 100 that are
You can
are
pre-reg
counted
and
in.
say you want to. Oh, you just
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
You just don't check
On
in.
the Bravo app, you can just buy
you
right
can
into
just
day
take it
2.
day 2.
Oh,
yeah.
there's an option to
Like,
buy into day 2.
But do you
Yeah.
guys see there is a main event option, and it says main event $10,000 buy-in, date below, and then you pick July 5th, July
Landon was
6th,
trying
July
to do
7th.
it
I
last
think
night.
if I was, I am friends with some recreational players, and I told them almost all of them to reg day 2,
100%.
and none of them listened to me.
Same.
How many survived?
Literally same.
I don't know.
I told 3 people to reg day 2, all 3 reg day 1, 2 busted, 1 bagged a third of a starting stack.
I just wish that I'm just like play day 2.
Yeah.
20% of the field's gonna be gone. You're gonna be closer to the money, and you're gonna just have a stack still.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice. It's kind of
Yeah, I don't think they get it either. It's like just regging day 2, you get 60K. Playing day 1 and getting through, the average stack is 75.
Yeah.
So like, what does that 15,000 potential chips mean to you?
It means
if you're not
big blinds come back to 800, it means you win 20 bigs.
Yeah. So if you're not like, if you don't consider yourself upper echelon, if you don't consider yourself well above average, it doesn't really mean all that much. You know, I think in the next 10 years,
I think there's a I want to make this point before we move on. I think there's people are conflating because they see a lot of pros like max late reg or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh well, I can't do that because I'm not a pro.
And they don't want to miss the opportunity of the main event.
So it's like a little bit weird, but it's actually like if you're not a pro, deep stack pro, like deep stack cash pro, deep stack no limit pro, whatever. It just behooves you to like just start later.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there might be a slight counter to that of the levels on day 1 are so small that being that guy who VPIP single digits and literally just attempts to win the cooler war probably does have a fair amount of win rate attached to it.
Yeah.
Or at least in their experience, it's felt that way, right? They've cooled enough people off along the way that they bag double starting and they think that like, you know, that'll happen again.
Right, like that's a normal occurrence. Like, oh, like, of course I'm gonna find my spot. Like I'm gonna flop my set versus their overpair and stack them.
Yeah.
Tortoise, how you been
Boy,
doing
I
on
was
day
set
ones?
mining all day.
This is the man, guys.
Have you ever
Sat
busted day
down
1?
with my pitch,
No, I've played the tour.
axe,
I've played the
whatever.
main event 15 times, and I've
You would
bagged
never bust
15
day one.
times.
Bro, how crazy is
You would
that?
never bust day 1.
No, that's
it's
not true.
impossible.
100%
That's not true.
bag rate?
I came
Stop.
close.
It's impossible for you to put that last chip
I
in,
came-
bro.
I had a death grip on that thing. I'm not
He has
letting
like the
go.
nut flush
I'm
on
not
the
going.
turn, and the guy has a set, and that's how he goes out. Like the board pairs, and he's out.
The board pairs on
What's
the
the
river.
smallest stack you ever bagged?
I think
10,000.
I don't. Yeah, it was like 12,000, which I don't know was how many blinds. Maybe like 20 blinds or something going into, or less. Probably like 15 blinds maybe going into day 2 was my.
My deepest run, I
stack.
bagged 15
I
bigs.
think the majority of them I had above a starting stack.
15 big blinds is a lot of big blinds. You double once, and you have 32.
Fucking 15 bigs is not a lot of bigs.
It is.
in the main event.
It's
not a lot
painful
of
when the
bigs.
average is 75.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you have to look past
100.
the fact that the average is 75.
Oh, let's just look past the fact that we're fucking last.
You live in your bubble. You just have to
when
look
you
at
have to like tweet bagged 1/6 average stack, it doesn't
Yes.
feel very good.
Yeah.
But honestly, like that
Oh,
is the
whack.
beauty of this event. It is slow. The spit ups occur.
Yep.
My deepest run, I bagged 15 bigs and I was down to 9. And like, you know, it.
Because they're not spin ups. Like you bag 30 bigs, that's a lot. You don't spin up 30 bigs.
Honestly, I thought about this when I
You know
got
what
short.
I mean? You don't spin like 30.
I
You
got-
spin up 5.
I got short on day 1, and I thought about like short stack strategy in the main when the average stack is like 250 bigs, and I think it changes a lot. I think it's a lot closer to cash, where like I was willing to just start open jamming, like 20, 25 bigs. Because the call offs are so incorrect.
Yes.
Like they'll just look at offsuit ace 7.
It is very much like a cash game.
Yeah.
First day.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, this is 10% of my chips. I have ace 7 off in the big.
Right.
I call.
They see it as a
guess.
numbers
Yeah.
game, not like big blind game.
Correct.
It's like, oh, it's
Yeah,
only
yeah.
25,000. I have 300,000. I call.
Yeah, they don't look at it like, oh, this guy just jammed 27 bigs from under the gun 2.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, how else am I supposed to play ace king? I don't want to raise.
Right.
You know, like, why not? Because honestly, like, this is where I think the risk reward thing does come into play. It's like, I would much rather just funnel as much money in as possible when people are making calling errors that are so egregious.
Exactly.
Right? Like, if they're calling with hands that are just like losing 3 big blinds pre, just get it in there. Because if you're giving them the option to play passively, see flops, and never bluff you, then you're not making much win rate any longer with this hand. Right? Like, you just have to flop the best of it, have them flop the second best of it, and get multiple streets.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, people are
It
going to
is
just
hard.
like call off 25 big blinds where they never should because it's just a small portion of their stack.
Correct. Yeah. I think those are like small minor tweaks. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much more about it. How much did you guys bag? What'd you bag?
You're getting sad.
67.5.
Way above expectations.
No, come on, man.
That's like kind of exactly expectation.
No, expectations 5%
Expectation is
each
like
day.
80. Expectation
each
is like
day.
80. I'm below expectation.
Right, I forgot day one
okay.
big win rate. 5% each day thereafter.
Right.
Yeah, so
They won big win
Slow
rate.
and steady goes the tortoise.
But where does the tortoise go?
It's right to the final table, baby.
yeah, so Lamanna won 10 big blinds.
I'm going to get to the final table, but it's going to be like sometime in October.
The tournament's over and you see Brian Lamanna just holding on to a one chip.
They literally bring back the November 9 for Lamanna.
Yeah, I really would love. I would love to see the November Vine come back though.
Me too. Honestly, it's,
Now that we've experienced what it's like to not have it, it's like, nah, man, you really should have it.
yeah, I think that it was ahead of its time. I think while it was happening, a lot of people found reasons to hate on it.
Or at least put it in a theater, right? The final one, like, put the
Fair.
final
It
table.
needs to be a
Get
spectacle.
big,
I think
yeah.
I think at minimum, just like let people like gather their people, whatever, to
Yeah.
come in. Like give them 2 weeks, whatever you need. Like get.
I think
and
they
put
get
it in
like
the
one
theater.
day now, right?
Yeah, like 1 day is insane.
Yeah.
Like and then put it in the theater, like Brian is saying. Like give people ample time to like get their people in the building. I think 2 weeks is fine. If you want to push it to November, sure. But like I think at minimum,
I think
2
that's
weeks.
a cool way to do it. Is
Yeah.
have it be the last official event of the series,
Oh, that would be dope.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
have the
yeah.
rest of the place closed down, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just
Yeah.
the stage, and like they can do everything else, and just like
Yeah, because as it stands now, I think the main event plays out, and there is.
So we crown the winner, and then there's still events.
I think there's
going.
like maybe 4 events thereafter.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe it does all time out well. So I think the 16th is the final event.
Yeah, it is.
Or the final day of the final event. The main. Let's see. Tomorrow's a day 2, so day 3.
The last day of the main is the 16th.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, then they do coincide, but we don't have to make it that way, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I just think
we could space
November
it more
9
if we
was
wanted to.
really nice. Like at least the concept of the November 9, where it's like this secluded kind of exclusive club.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're part of the final table. It's like all these people. On
It gives
TV.
media a chance to feature
Yeah.
it a little bit more. Maybe the 2-3 month layoff is way too much.
Maybe you don't
too
need
long.
3 months, but at
But I
least
like the idea of a week.
Yeah, I
Week,
like
2
the
weeks,
week to
yeah.
2 weeks thing where you get you get to tell your friends from home like, hey, fly out, like whatever. It's all cool.
Yeah. I think that would be good.
What'd
Good.
you bag, Chin?
I bagged 105 and change.
6?
My chainsaw, man. He's just in there.
I was just
Conrad?
catching, bro. I was just catching. I was just like,
125?
"Oop, got him.
That's the most, right? All of us.
125,
Nice.
What'd you bag last year on day 1?
88.
Okay. All right, we're pacing ahead.
Melissa's got the tortoise
I
stack.
have the exact starting stack.
Like,
on
literally
the
to the-
dot. Literally
exactly
60,000
60?
even.
Love it.
Yeah. I was up to like 100 something shortly before the day ended, and then I got fluffed in that one hand.
just took the deepest sigh.
It's like you're buying directly into day 2.
Yeah. But I got to,
Except you have the mental trauma of having played day 1.
yeah.
exactly.
It was like enjoyable.
Yeah,
honestly.
she had a
Yeah.
cowboy at her
fun.
table.
I didn't feel traumatized. It actually went by like I thought it was gonna feel like such a long day, but it went by pretty fast.
It always goes
It's such
quick.
an enjoyable event.
Yeah.
so
honestly.
much fun.
really is.
So much
It's a lot
fun.
You
of
get to
fun.
play so many hands.
I love
it's so
like
cool.
not having to work against the blinds so hard. Like
Yeah.
it's just like really nice.
Man, being a feast or famine is you know what? I love being a feast or famine because
No,
I'm
you
okay
don't.
with the famine.
Look, man, I'll tell you right now from experience, lean away.
No,
away.
man.
Get out while you can.
over
Become
to
a
my
name.
side.
Come to
Yeah,
the
cross over to the
tortoise
I'm not
tortoise
going
side.
to tortoise side.
for
I'm
15 in day 1s.
He's all
Tell Landon, please. Tell me what
100%
it's like to
success
bust a
rate.
day 1. I have no
I'm
idea.
honestly, like,
Honestly, I'm fine.
It's fine.
well,
It's
I am,
fine.
but for the wrong reasons. Yeah, I was bad at saying no to some swaps, so I swapped a decent bit.
He way over swapped.
Yeah. Anyways, like
Well, it
I
seems
I
like
didn't
you did
have,
fine then.
I
I mean,
mean,
you did say no to the Connie
said
swap.
yeah.
Yeah, that's even twice as insulting.
Fucking showered me.
Guy.
I think that
He
might
won't
have
follow
been
me
a
on
bad.
Twitter.
You don't.
He's showering him on
I
swaps.
know.
Yo, it's
You don't say no to the Connie swap. That's a run good
Listen,
swap.
I knew that
yeah,
Conrad
yeah.
was
Purely
going to
a run
win.
good play.
I knew that Conrad was going to win. so
You're
you
an
can keep
elitist.
it.
You have to there are certain characteristics to swapping correctly. It's not just finding the person who's better than you. No, my friend. You find the baby run good.
Yep.
You find the desperate run good. Nobody needs this more than Conrad. That is a guaranteed min cash.
Oh yeah.
Bare minimum. Right?
I
Like-
asked him to swap. I was like, I
rightfully
want
so.
to run good, and I believe that he will cash.
Yeah, you probably should have offered him like a price. Like, I'll give you 1.25 to 1, you know?
Probably, yeah.
But hey, he's just giving it out. Take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to look for the life the life narratives that fit with a deep run in the main
Yes.
event.
He's not lying.
And who's a bigger story than our hood
We
lawyer
need
over
someone
here?
who just had a
long
we need
shot.
someone to have a baby.
Yeah,
not it.
no, we don't.
Not it.
We really don't though.
No.
Do we not?
Yeah.
It would be so fun.
I mean,
It's so painful getting in 130. with
Brian,
this.
it's definitely Brian.
you have to name us all godparents, though.
All godparents?
That's the only way we're gonna run good.
No babies over here. I
No
got 2
babies?
dogs. That's good enough.
What the hell is it with that tab can? They have the tab can on.
Yeah, you got to look for people who have a tab. Like these are
Yeah.
the people you want to be swapping out
Yeah.
with for sure.
I don't. Okay.
All right, before we get any more into the shits, I want to announce that Andrew Brokos has launched a new course for us today. This has been one of the more enjoyable courses that I've watched from our site. It is on betting lines. The idea behind it is that he will convey a lot of the common lines that you'll see in your environments, the small bet on the flop, followed by a large bet on the turn, as well as some underutilized lines similar to like check, raise, check. Basically, the premise here is to give you the broad strokes and understanding as to why these lines exist at equilibrium, and then dig in a little bit deeper to demonstrate why the solver prefers one option over the other. I believe we got a quick preview of that, so I'll let Guapo cut to it.
I'm Andrew Brokos, and this time around we will be talking about betting lines. Thinking across multiple streets, what are we accomplishing with certain betting lines? Check raising and then checking the next street, or check calling the flop and then shoving the river after the turn checks through. When we bet small on the flop and then bet much larger on the turn, what is the function of those two bets in tandem?
Yo, they
You guys-
watch. They watch
Good.
it at that speed or what?
What do you mean?
That show's fast.
That's normal speed.
No, that was 1.5, I
That was like
believe.
1.5x.
No, it's a 30-second commercial.
Okay, well, it was
Are
hard.
you guys, why are you guys hating on pigtails, man? This is what
No,
they do.
no, it was. I'm hating on myself. I couldn't keep up. This shit was hard.
You can slow it down. You can make it
Can I, is
0.25x.
there an option to make it 0.75?
Yeah, there is.
Okay,
If
cool.
you guys would have heard the audio, it would have been a lot slower to you.
Oh,
Brokos is one of my favorite coaches. I think he does a great job of distilling down complex problems into very simple language. I think his book is a perfect example of that. So if you guys are interested in checking out that course, he has a few others on our site as well. Head over to solveforwhy.io. Free 2-week trial. Give you the option to preview it first if you like. Cancel anytime. You know how the whole thing works. Getting back to the WSOP, this is what gave me real FOMO yesterday. Not that I busted. Busting obviously had something to do with it, but they started the coverage yesterday. I was of the impression they weren't starting it until like day 3.
Oh, right on day 1.
Bill Ivy. They put him on the stage and he's not even there. I'm just like thinking like, if I'm production, like, okay, we got Phil Ivey on. Like, everybody's gonna watch. You put him on, and he's not even like he's just blinding out.
He already
He's
has
just,
like a stack and a half.
He's like out somewhere, like having sushi at Nobu. Like, they're just like
He's both the best and worst person to put on a feature table at the same time. He played really good, man. Like I said this the other day when I was saying that, a lot of people would say Ivy's worst game is No Limit. He's good though.
Bro, Ivy's
Like
that's the scary part about
whether
it.
he studies or learns through osmosis, like he does the right things.
He's been doing the right things for 30 years.
Yeah.
He's like, he studied stud. No, but he was the best.
I think he's just one of those guys who intuitively understands games.
Yeah. Right.
And, he thinks about games differently.
Bro,
Like,
he was getting cheated when he was 7 years old. like, of course he's good.
yeah.
Do you think he's really good at like board games and stuff?
Yeah.
We should play Ticket to Ride with Phil Ivey.
No, we should play
He
Monopoly.
doesn't want that smoke. He don't want that
Are you
smoke. Berkey
challenging-
hasn't talked about Ticket to Ride in months. You haven't talked
I
about
got
it in
bored
months.
beating you.
You guys don't want the smoke. All right, that's on the story. Don't nobody. It's
Maybe-
retired.
maybe
Ticket
Phil
to Ride
got-
is retired around here.
Conrad
You
is
guys-
the best Ticket to Ride player in this room. For
You guys don't want it anymore. It's
Maybe
game
Phil
over.
got cheated by his grandpa to like build him up.
That's what I'm saying.
It was part of the hero's journey.
Yeah.
Like his beginnings was like,
Wow.
you can get cheated by anyone. Like watch your back.
That's cool.
And now he's the best.
It's like a fable.
Yeah.
I
The
like
story.
it.
It's like it's the hero's journey.
Yeah.
He starts and now he's circling back.
Thanks, Grandpa.
I knew you were looking after me and didn't just want my $5.
My $5.
It's hard to get money when you're 7. How do you get money?
Grandpa's cold. He's stealing $5 for
Yeah.
his grandson.
Gotta teach him a lesson. Look at him now.
Yeah.
I think it worked, you know?
I mean, how much did you play for when you were 7? Like, what can you
It's
get
probably
cheated
like
out of?
literally pennies.
Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
play for nickels and
Yeah,
dimes.
yeah.
It's probably nothing. But so then they end up cutting, like, they started featuring Chino's table.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yeah, Chino.
Chino played well too, man. Like
Chino's
Chino
good
ran,
too.
I heard he was vaping on the feature table.
Yeah, but this is what we live for.
Yeah.
Like vaping, a guy that
We
doesn't
live
show
for
up.
vaping.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like
live-
it's incredible.
We live for vaping and not showing up to
just
events.
like this is what
I was at the
poker
table, like I was on the hallway rail, and then Phil Ivey was like across, and there was a whole crowd around him with like cameras and everything. It
You
was
think
cool.
Daniel's jealous?
I think Phil Hellmuth's jealous.
Ooh,
probably.
maybe Phil Hellmuth's jealous.
Well, he didn't even show up yet, bro. He's coming.
He
to
showed
show
up. Showed up
He
today.
showed up in a gimp
Oh,
suit.
wow. He picked the worst day too.
picked this day?
What's the matter with it?
I know.
Oh man, unreal.
Why
The
would you pick this day two over the?
I
it's
know.
insane.
I know. I don't understand. Like, why would
Because
you?
there's tighter players today. So he doesn't bust.
that might be true. That
fair.
actually might be true.
Yeah.
They're playing 10-handed today?
No,
No,
he said
no,
they're
no.
tighter players today.
Just overall a tighter field.
I think you said 10 players.
One of the things that I enjoy most that's now becoming a tradition starting last year is Jeff Platt's Please Stand Up For Me.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. He went through, he interviewed Broke Living JRB, Barstool Mizzy, and of course, fan favorite, Brent Hanks.
Yes. I didn't see it.
What
Who
was that
busted
hat?
before dinner?
All right, so we have most interviews planned out, but some you have to kind of move up in the pecking order because this guy might not be around for too long. Brent Hanks, stand up for me, please, just if you don't mind.
Right back to the old bit, huh?
Yeah, how's your main event experience been so far?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, it's been frickin' terrible.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have 21,000 chips.
And you start with 60K.
Well,
just in case the people didn't know.
start with 60,000, Jeff. Yes. And this guy's making full houses while I'm making flushes. This guy's not betting aces when I'm turning full houses. And this guy's really good. And the rest of them, they're all just really nice guys. But, I mean, you know, they're beating me in every goddamn hand. I can't say that.
No, probably not. How's the rest of your summer gone, though? Good series other than this?
You see the horns on this head, Jeff? Yeah, you're about to get gored right out of those doors over there. It's been a horrible summer. You know the answer to this. And it's just awful. You know, life is full of sadness.
Well, play this hand and hopefully it gets a little happier for you. Probably not. No, I don't really care. All right, best of luck.
Life is full of sadness. You know, I think while you guys are all enjoying yourselves on day 2 tomorrow, I might just have Brent co-host
Yeah, you
with me and
should.
Brent.
You guys can
just me, you,
commiserate
and-
together.
Me, you, and Buffalo Hanks here chopping it up, talking
Me,
about
you,
how
and
sad
Hanksy.
life is.
That was such a good interview.
He's the
That was
best.
great. That was awesome.
He's the absolute best. I think that there's a lot of gold in that little bit that I wonder whose idea it was. Do you think it was Platt's or do you think it was like somebody?
I think it
higher
just
up?
happened like the first time he's like, "Oh, stand up for me," and then it became a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like-
it was just like organic. Like,
Yeah.
just really clean.
Yeah, like I know Jeff a little bit, and I think that that's what makes this a little bit funnier. But like, you know, it's when you're on dating apps. Once you finally land on that good icebreaker, you just copy and paste it forever.
Okay, so what's yours?
I don't have one for sure.
You haven't
I'm
landed
still
on the one that
searching.
works?
He doesn't have one. He
I
doesn't
think
have
I
one.
think high with the wave emoji is starting to do pretty
Oh,
well.
no. Oh, no.
But yeah, it's like, you know, you finally get that icebreaker. I'm sure you went through like 4 or 5 ways of trying to interrupt somebody's play and getting, and then finally it was just like, please stand up. And he's like, oh, that's good. Oh, we have something
Please stand
here.
up.
That's what
Stand
happened.
up for
That's what
Yeah,
happened.
this
Good
is
for
a
him.
little bit of a
It's
bit.
good. I hope it sticks
Take a
around
little break
long.
right here.
Yeah, I think it's good. One of
There's
the
two
other
things
guys.
with Jeff Platt. It's like the stand up and then like what suit is he gonna wear? Like he always has like a suit. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
dapper, man.
I saw
He
his,
is.
Yeah, it's
he
fresh.
posted a
Yeah.
thing that he had his planned suits for the week.
Yeah, that makes
Plans
sense.
them out.
He's giving an inside look
Yeah,
into
behind the
the
scenes.
you think you keep up with
wardrobe.
his suit game, Burke, or no?
No, I only have 4 suits.
Yes,
Only
He's
four.
got to have so many suits.
Yeah, I mean he was an on-air sportscaster for.
You think they paid for his suits on air?
Yeah, but like
You
you know,
think PokerGo pays his suits?
I don't know.
Probably not.
But when he was like a newscaster, I'm sure that they were picking up like the JC Penney
You
tab.
think he makes more with PokerGo or the news?
PokerGo, obviously.
Yeah, so Carrie Katz is paying for his suits.
Probably.
baby.
I think he's upgraded now. I think he's getting that Stitch shit, you know, the nice stuff.
shit.
Before he was like he was on a JC Penney budget, you know. like,
JC Penny dog?
yeah,
Nordstrom
like,
Rack.
Nordstrom Rack.
There's a Nordstrom Rack.
That's the in-between.
No, Nordstrom Rack is like the stuff that they take from Nordstrom that like no one wanted.
It's like 3 seasons
Yeah.
outdated, you know.
They usually
we'll get you there. It's a stepping stone.
That's where I
Yeah.
shop.
yeah.
That's a very Ross and Nordstrom Rack are two like very tortoise like
tortoise
stores.
Of course,
Not-
the tortoise
not-
is looking
not
for
Ross.
a discount.
No Ross.
It's the same
But
thing.
yeah.
TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross.
No,
and
Nordstrom Rack has much better stuff.
It's
than
higher
Ross
end.
and
Has to be.
TJ
It
That's
has
on the
to be.
higher
TJ Maxx
end
and
of
Marshalls
that.
is down.
Nordstrom has to be. Nordstrom Rack has to be
Ross
better than
has
TJ
very good
Maxx.
Marshalls is different. Marshalls is brand name clothes that are lines dedicated to Marshalls.
TJ Maxx
Okay.
is the same.
So like, no, TJ Maxx is.
You got to be more dedicated when you go to Marshalls and
They're
'cause
almost-
No. You're misconceived.
I know what you're saying.
Marshalls and TJ Maxx are not the same. TJ Maxx and like all of those other stores are stores that get old clothes that are out of seasons that are brand name and they sell them at a discount. Marshalls is similar to like Target, where they have brands actually dedicate lines that are higher end brands elsewhere. So you're getting a lower quality of the same brand.
Gotcha.
I get it.
Gotcha.
So it's
How do you know
different.
I think
stuff?
Kohl's does that.
I know a
too.
lot
I'm
about
pretty sure
clothes.
TJ Maxx is the same one.
I
How
low
did you
key
know these random things?
I low key pay very close attention to fashion, despite the fact that I show up in a t-shirt and
He
backwards hat
does.
every day.
He does.
You know
That's
how
why I
bad-
said if you
I
were
ask them a
shopping
lot,
with a
like,
girl,
oh, like,
you
what
would
do you think about this
mansplain fashion
Vince?
to them.
I would not mansplain. I would mansplain
Okay, you-
male fashion.
You went
I know nothing
shopping
about
with
female.
Renelle, right?
Ooh.
You guys went shopping?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Did he mansplain fashion to her at all?
I was too busy being the subject of said fashion.
Because
Her and I agreed with almost everything,
I
including
heard,
the ugly shirt
I
he
heard
bought.
differently.
Including the ugly shirt he bought.
That is okay. For one, the shirt isn't ugly, and now you like the shirt. Everyone likes
I
the
came
shirt.
around.
Which shirt?
I came around.
It's the one. It's the gray one that kind of looks like a washing machine.
What? Oh,
The
I hate
washing
that
machine?
shirt.
The plaid one?
No.
No, that
I
shirt.
got
That
you.
the one that
It's
looks
green.
like.
No, I like that
It's
one.
green, not
I like
gray.
that one.
It's yeah, it's green. It kind of looks like a Picasso painting that
Yeah.
like went wrong.
It's loud
Yeah.
as fuck.
It went right.
That's fine.
My G.
You ever see Pete Davidson? Everyone thinks he's so stylish and he dresses so loud.
Yeah, but like it's
And
it's
he's
just
tall, too.
because the rumor is that he has a
He has
huge
huge
cock.
dick, yeah.
He can do anything at this point and just still be the guy with the huge cock.
Yeah.
Sounds like all you need is a rumor.
BDE.
Yeah. That's why
Okay.
this is why you're doing it right by having like
So
the
if-
circle of trust of females.
If you guys
Because-
want me to start rumors for you,
Right.
like just like
That's doing the
you
Lord's
can
work.
pay me
That's
like
doing
you
the
can pay me like I don't know $150
Why do we
and
have to
I'll
pay you?
spread because it's a service and I'll spread the rumor
This,
about your manhood
This
to
is
the, to the
this
women.
is straight out of a Friends episode where Chandler was like bartering with Rachel and he was unwilling to do it and she goes, "I'll tell everybody that you're here or you're here." And he goes, "Fine." And then so she started the rumor and instantly Joey's like, "No, he's not."
Yeah.
90s.
Fashion.
All right. The main story of the day.
The main event.
We're finally going to talk Coinflex. So this story broke last Friday. What? Why are you
I
gritting your
didn't want
teeth?
to cut you off, but Hellmuth busted.
That was a good PSA. That was a good
Yeah.
chin service announcement.
No, that was
Yeah.
perfect.
CSA.
That was on
was a
Coinflex.
CSA.
This guy stinks.
How do you find that? Where's that
The
at?
chat is telling us that he is busted.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
I saw Caleb said breaking news, but I didn't see. Yep.
Breaking
Wow.
news.
Amazing.
Phil Hellmuth out on day 2.
Wow, dark.
Don't
man.
get it mistaken. He did not bag for day 2. He just bought in 90 minutes ago. And probably less, actually, because he probably late read day 2.
Late red day two.
Probably.
Do we have a hand history?
I can try to
dude,
find it.
We're trying.
I'm sure.
The people are on it.
Much like
Yeah.
Bitcoin
I found it. I
Latinum.
found it. I found
Okay,
it.
let's hear it.
Okay. Bill Hellmuth and Sean Smith went heads up, blind versus blind, on Queen 8-4, flush draw, Queen 4 of the suit. Hellmuth calls a bet. Both players check the deuce turn. So it's queen 8-4 deuce flush draw. Hellmuth changed from his Darth Vader costume into a black and yellow jersey, put out a 25,000 green chip, and got called and announced 12,000 on the 3 of clubs river. So it's queen 8-4 deuce 3.
And then he jams for 12,000.
And then he
on the
bets.
river?
He gets raised on the
Okay.
river. So he bets. Okay, so on the river he puts out 12K out of his 25. Like he says 12.
Yeah.
Gets raised to 30K, and then he gets set. He's in the tank for many minutes.
Changed into another shirt.
I get to change again.
So then he calls, and the guy shows ace 5 for the wheel. Queen
Ooh, backed into
8-4
it.
deuce 3. So
Oh,
the backdoor
that's a
wheel.
hidden wheel.
And Phil Hellmuth had kings and
Oh,
throwing him into the
nasty.
muck, burying his head in his hands as he's been knocked down to a severe short stack an hour into his main event. And then he busted with king jack against sixes, where a few minutes later, after losing that big pot to Sean Smith, Phil Hellmuth sent the rest of his 6,000 in the middle and was up against Jeff Frericks. Phil Hellmuth, king jack, Frericks, pocket sixes. If I lose this, I can say I won 0 pots this main event, Hellmuth said, heading to the king 10-7 flop. Hellmuth made a pair of kings and improved to 2 pair on the jack turn. But the 6 river gave Frericks a set and sent Phil Hellmuth to the rail.
They did him so dirty.
So it
That's
sounds
not
like
right,
it sounds like when he took the gimp suit off, the wheels fell off.
No, the wheels fell on because he made ace
Because
2
he took
3.5.
the gimp suit off mid-hand.
Hold up, are we gonna ignore that he just open ripped 30 blinds with king jack off?
30 blinds? No, 6,000, right?
No,
6,000.
65
Oh, it's day
was
2.
Day
Yeah,
two.
day two.
Day two,
It's
guys.
day 2,
Less than 10.
yeah, it's day
Less
2.
than 10 bigs.
It's day 2. It was less than 10 blinds.
Yeah,
What am I
yeah.
talking about? Yeah, my bad.
Poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. This is how they get you. See, this is why you show up on day 1, because there's some nit like Hellmuth who overplays kings to some idiot from Northern Europe and just dust off the entire 60K.
I mean, this
Damn.
picture they have for Poker News is a very, very good picture. If you could find it, Guapo, it's Frericks takes the rest from Hellmuth. You really got to see this picture as to Phil's frustration and costume.
Well, his main event lasted 1 hour. He bested both of us, Landon.
Yeah, if we had to last
He did.
longer, he would have won.
Well, sort of.
No, he wins because he made
Yeah,
day 2.
but if we did it by time,
Sure,
we
he
win.
loses. We win.
He loses.
No, you win, and I win.
Oh my God,
Wow,
look at
this-
him there.
Yeah.
what is this outfit?
It's a gimp suit.
It's a gimp suit.
I do feel like
Bring
he
out
has
the
like
gimp.
a ball gag underneath that
Yeah.
mask. Oh man, how on earth do we transition into Coinflex at this point? We're gonna do it. We gotta do the hard thing. We gotta talk about it, man. This guy has dragged people for the better part of 6 years over the smallest things.
You're taking that route.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that fucking route. Are you kidding me? Are you? I mean, like,
been
sure,
waiting for this day.
Sure,
You've been
he
waiting
doesn't
for this
own
moment your
Coinflex.
entire life.
What?
You've been waiting for this.
No, I haven't.
No, I know,
I
it's
don't.
fine.
I don't relish.
I don't think you dislike Doug. I think you just.
I
kinda-
dislike his
No, I'm just fucking
approach.
around. Yeah.
I think he's very good at what he does. I just
For
think, from a business ethics standpoint, he's annoying. The story goes as such, much like a lot of other exchanges that we've seen over the last, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months during this bear market. Coinflex has seized all operations. No, that's not true. Let me clarify. It has seized all cashouts, still happily accepting money onto the platform, which in and of itself is probably a bit of a red flag and problem. But they halted all cashouts, I believe last Friday, I think is when this first broke. Actually, it might have been earlier. July 1st was when the quote unquote announcement was going to come through, which was last Friday. So the actual Coinflex halting cash outs, I believe, was maybe last Monday. So it's been a week and a half or so. The ultimate claim was that they over leveraged themselves based off of a bunch of debt that they allege Roger Ver owes them, Bitcoin Jesus, if you will. So they're basically saying that he owes 47 million USDC. They have a written contract with him personally to guarantee any negative equity on his Coinflex account. And this is what they were, I guess, supposedly predicating the large yield returns to their consumers off of.
No way. 47 million is a small number. For
So small,
Yeah.
right? So small.
It's not it.
What's the balance sheet look like?
Yeah.
Right.
Like
It's not
how is everybody's money currently worth 0 cents on the dollar?
Yeah,
Right.
There's no way it's over that.
Right. So clearly they didn't have segregated funds. Obviously they were basically playing the lottery with, I'm speculating at this point, but it seems apparent to me that they were kind of
Classic
playing.
case.
Yeah, they were over leveraged, right?
Yeah.
They were using a bunch of consumer money to try to leverage and yield farm greater returns than what they were offering back. They got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and now they're kind of pinning it on Roger Ver. Ver discredits their claim, says that there have been grumblings that, or rumors spreading that he's defaulted on a debt to a counterparty. These rumors are false. Not only does he not have a debt to this counterparty, but this counterparty owes him a substantial sum of money. Obviously, we don't know the truth. The courts, I would assume, would flesh this out. Either there's a contract or there's not. Either there's debt or there's not. I don't think this is very gray. So when two sides like this take opposite or opposing positions, at some point we're going to find out the truth. In the near term, Coinflex's plan of attack here is that they are going to launch another coin for consumers to buy.
Oh God!
Will
don't buy that coin.
That will offer, I believe they were saying a 10% yield. It might have been 15% yield. It might have even been 20%. I don't know. They were offering a high yield, and it was all based off of the debt that they're claiming Ver had vouched for, right? So they're basically saying, like, buy this new coin, and we will pay you interest on your purchase based off of the interest that's being paid to us by this debtor in Roger Ver, which when that counterparty publicly says, I don't owe this debt, probably doesn't make consumers feel super confident about buying this new coin.
No,
That's weird.
So I think there are a lot of red flags
They're
here,
doing
obviously.
an ICO or what?
Good question. I didn't look much.
It's sort of like, hey, we're fucked and we need funds. Can
Right.
you guys buy our shit coin so we have more money?
Yeah.
So
Is
we
that
can,
like,
we can
exactly
try
what
and
it
chase
sounds
our
like.
losses and pay you guys back.
Yeah, I kind of didn't look into it any
Exactly
further
what it
because it
sounds
just seemed like a Ponzi to me at that point.
Yeah.
This is crypto in
This
basic
is,
English.
this is crypto. I mean, this is just what happens.
I wonder why they don't go a more traditional route. Like if the company actually is worth something, if they feel that they have some technology or some proof of concept that they can offer that makes the company valued at more than their negative debt right now.
Yeah.
Why don't they just raise funds in the more traditional way through VC? Bring in an angel investor,
Yeah.
get capital that way. It does seem like a bit of
Because they might have gotten rejected by VCs.
right. It does seem like it was spit in the face to the community and basically.
Oh yeah, I mean,
a cash
I
grab.
feel like I saw this so much when I was like doing NFTs, where they would like fail their NFT project and then like launch another one, be like, let's try again.
Yeah.
We didn't get enough from the first 1.5 million. Let's do
Right.
another one.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's such an easy cash grab. They're so incentivized to just like release a shitcoin or an NFT or whatever, and then
Yeah.
people will just buy it because they're degenerate.
Yeah, so the confidence here that anybody's going to see any return on their money should be relatively low. I do think that, like to Christian's point, 47 million of the total sheet balance is relatively small. So if Coinflex is not,
relative. It's in the grand scheme of an exchange. 47 million is tiny.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
not talking about a lot of money here.
right.
But okay, go ahead.
But anyway, if they are actually doing their due diligence and are not bad actors in this space, then we should soon, if not already, have seen them say, if you want to withdraw, you can do so at like a 20% loss, a 30% loss. You can withdraw 70 cents on the dollar, right? Now, obviously, that's tricky too because there'll be an immediate run on the bank.
Yeah.
A lot of people will take 70 cents on the dollar over nothing. But also the fact that like this isn't even discussed as far as I can tell from the Coinflex plan moving forward, and it just really feels like the liquidity is not there.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to jump to a conclusion when exchanges cease cash outs and the market plummeted 60% over the last couple of months.
Yeah.
It just stands to reason
Yeah.
they lost a fucking pile.
Right. Of course.
So, RIP if your money's out there in the Coinflex exchange. We feel for you. Everybody gets got at least once or twice in this market. It's young, it's new, it's a lot of fast money, but also a lot
Don't
of
keep your
rug
money on
pools.
exchanges.
Yeah,
There's that
Cold
inherent
storage is
risk
very
when you keep your money on exchanges, no matter how big the
It's
exchange
not
is.
yours.
our community knows this firsthand. We kept big balances on unregulated poker sites for half a decade, and we got the rug pulled. We got very lucky to be saved and to get that money back.
Remember NetTeller?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. 2006.
Yeah, we still have our money on black sites.
I would hope you're not keeping much.
No, I'm just saying.
I mean, I can't imagine that there are very many people keeping six-figure balances on, the ACRs of the world.
Yeah.
People were for a while when that high stakes rat hole was running, the 200, 400.
But still, very small player pool.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It was like
I
5
would assume percentage of worth that it's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to break them, right?
Yeah.
People
but
had their entire worth.
exactly.
Their
I think with
entire
these
net worth
exchanges
on these sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with these exchanges, and I think back pre-Black Friday, like if you were a high stakes player, you had your entire roll on there. There was no functionality to having it elsewhere.
Right.
So, which is so dumb when you look back on it, man. Like we weren't earning any interest. We were just like letting it sit on a corrupt site.
Yeah. But people were
but
dodging
at that
taxes.
point, like everyone's
that's
so
true.
bad
Sure.
on there that like you're making more from just having all your money and being able to like use that
access it.
than actually earning interest on
Yeah, and there were
something.
like payment processing was so awful. It was
Yeah.
so hard to get. It still is, right? It's just so hard to get large
Did they have
sums of money on there.
P2P?
What's that?
Like, could you transfer to player?
Yeah.
Yeah,
On Full
Okay.
Tilt?
that was
So you
like
could
the biggest
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
on all sites.
Well, crypto
Full
changed
tilt.
everything on like being able to get paid out easily on most
That's true.
sites. Like,
Well,
it's
it was necessary.
Huh?
Yeah.
It was necessary because the banking, there was a lot of banking
No,
fraud
of course.
going on.
But
Well,
like,
even back then, payouts were never a problem. It was deposits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Banks would facilitate the payout, but you needed a third-party processor to deposit.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
And we had NetTeller up until 2006, but then they had to exit the U.S. market
Yeah.
due to the UGI.
You had to buy like
UGEIA.
prepaid cards and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a NetTeller card, and every time I tried to use it, the cashier would just look at it and like, what
Yeah.
the hell is this?
Yeah.
I used to walk
I'm like,
down the
it's a card. It
Yeah.
works. There's
We had
money on
NetTeller
it.
we had NetTeller debit cards in like
they were like,
2005.
well, we're
I
not
had
gonna
the-
take this. I'm like, it's a Visa card. You won't take it?
I used to use the Visa Vanilla. I have to walk down to 7-Eleven, get it loaded up. Max you can put on is 500.
No,
You
this
have,
was
like,
the
6 of
opposite.
them.
This
This was the
different.
opposite. It was the actual debit card for us. So we were keeping our money on NetTeller. And we could either move it to a site or we could just spend it through the card.
Isn't there a
Yeah.
global poker card?
Yeah.
You have one, right?
Global Poker actually has something pretty cool where they basically have their own little debit card.
Yep.
And you can just like cash out to it immediately. And
Yeah. They also let you cash out to like gift cards.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that to evade taxes or
But
lessen them.
what's Doug's role in all this now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's where the conversation turns. So Doug made his statement later than July 1st, maybe the 2nd or 3rd. He did step down as an ambassador at Coinflex, which I think is the right thing to do. And honestly, like for all intent and purposes, like I'm going to give him shit because I feel like if roles were reversed, he would spend a week dragging somebody through the mud for something like
At
that.
least 4 videos on it.
Yeah.
At least a minimum.
4
And-
videos on a podcast.
and, like probably on their family and why their family dog is like a piece of shit too.
47.
So like I feel like he has his just dues coming. The internet is doing a great job of just dragging him through the mud and trolling him. Like there are endless Reddit threads. Somebody made a meme video about him. Honestly, I'm relishing it. But
Jesus Christ.
We all have
I'm
the guilty
not
pleasures.
above enjoying the spoils of somebody who's an asshole taking his own just dues. But I do think he handled it well as you can handle a situation like this. I think his statement was a little bit incomplete. I think it was shirking a lot of the responsibility to Coinflex, which is mostly fair. But I think he also needs to acknowledge he had a role in this and that his platform is massive. And there are a lot of people who were probably hurt based off of his vouching for the site.
Yeah.
And that's the big point of conversation that I want to have moving forward. After I think Wapo has a brief clip of Doug kind of giving his statement.
On June 23rd, cryptocurrency exchange Coinflex paused user withdrawals and stated they would have an update on the 27th and that hopefully withdrawals would begin by the 30th. I resigned as global ambassador for Coinflex on June 28th once I got everything squared away on the legal front. And I'm making my statement today, July 1st, because I didn't want to play a role in potentially harming the ability for people to get paid out. On June 23rd, cryptocurrency exchange Coinflex paused user withdrawals and stated they would have an update on the 27th and that hopefully withdrawals would begin by the 30th. I resigned as global ambassador for Coinflex on June 28th once I got everything squared away on the legal front.
Such an impactful statement. We had to hear it twice. No, I think that, I think once we get to this point, this is all that can really be done as an ambassador. He's not going to start paying people back, obviously.
No.
And his brand should take a minor hit for this. Like, it just is what it is. You have to be very careful in vetting who you do business with. And the crypto space in and of itself is so incredibly dicey, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to overlook the fact that when you do build a brand like this, there's a lot of opportunities to partner with people that can offer you a lot in return for very little, right? Like, I don't know what their deal was, but I'm certain that he was probably getting compensated handsomely to simply shield their site. And it's a trap in some regards, because if you're not privy to how the business is operating, what their business plan is, and how stable that plan will be moving forward, / how hurt the people that you're shilling for or to can be should it all crumble, then you're kind of just playing a game of Russian roulette where you hope that you align with the one that makes it. And this is troublesome, and we saw it a lot during the pandemic, and I tried to call it out as much as I could, but there were a lot of what I feel were selfish actors that really shilled hard for the black market app games and built clientele and built their own upline of games that A, weren't beatable, B, were largely being cheated, and C, ran the risk of not ever seeing payouts. And it's very similar to the way crypto exchanges are set up. There just isn't any overseeing body like the SEC that will ensure that they're operating on the up and up and that they're not ready to collapse or whatever the case may be. And we're just operating in this wild, wild west space. So when you go so far as to start to leverage your 300,000 followers and you get paid to do so, I do think that you have a responsibility to your audience to, at a minimum, throw in the qualification of this is not financial advice, invest at your own risk, here's all the potential downsides, right? And that should be expressed to the person paying you ahead of time. Like, we've passed on a lot of deals because I thought that they were way too probable to be net negatives for the audience. But if I were willing to accept one of those where I think, hey, this could go either way. This could blow up and be a massive thing, and I'll be happy that I got in at the ground, and I'll be happy for our audience that they had the early availability to it. Or this could just totally be a rug, and they could not be operating properly and see everything pulled out from underneath them. If that were my feeling, and I thought it was that close, then I would just want the qualifier of, listen, I need to give a disclaimer every time I promote you. And that's quite reasonable in my opinion, because you're just educating the market. You're still doing God's work for the company that you are basically representing, because it's expensive to educate a market. And sure, they want dumb money to funnel in the early going because it helps build the marketplace. It helps establish them as an industry leader when they're able to just pull in mass volume of cash, right? But ultimately, you need, for sustainability and stability, you need the market to correct a bit and become relatively educated, right? This isn't poker where your goal as the exchange is to fleece people who are stupid, right? And I hate to reduce poker down to that, but at the nuts and bolts level, that's kind of what our mission is, right? It's to take as much money away from those who aren't protecting it in a strategic way, right? But that's not the exchange's goal. The exchange is to have a healthy ecosystem of people who are basically breaking even and paying them fees, right? So you want an ambassador who will get out there and educate the market. You just don't want him to spin it in a negative light, right? You don't want him to give this disclaimer with, now I know you're all familiar with all of these exchanges that have collapsed, and that could happen here too, right? You don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to do your due diligence and say, like, listen, I'm a member of this exchange. I utilize this exchange, and I have the utmost faith in this exchange that they're doing right. However, I don't know enough about their back end. I don't know exactly what's going on at the top. Maybe you don't go so far as to say I can't confidently say they segregate their funds or whatever the case. Point is like I don't think you can give the commercial without the disclaimer. And that, in my opinion, is what he was most guilty of ever since he signed on as a Coinflex ambassador and didn't walk back one single time in that apology video that was 21 minutes long.
That's wild. That's wild that he could, like you said, that is the bare minimum. This is not financial advice. Understand it, crypto is risky. And I mean, like, you can leave it at that. And you're at least,
I mean, you probably did at some point.
I hope so.
I don't think that's enough for what it's worth.
That's not enough. I'm saying it's the bare minimum.
Yeah, and he probably did do that. I didn't watch every single video he ever put out, but the majority of stuff that I did consume, it was just like, now time for a Coinflex ad.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we can look at this in other spheres, right? So a guy like Rogan, pre-Spotify, a guy like Tim Ferriss, these guys get to pick and choose, right? They're so sought after that they get to pick and choose who they put on, and they truly just, I would imagine, go for products that they believe in and products that ultimately, no matter what the worst case scenario is, they can't really look bad on, right? Yeah. They're not going to take on a risky endorsement deal. It just doesn't make any sense for them. But when we don't have that luxury at that next tier, or maybe even 5 tiers below, whatever, then the business deal is done very differently, right? Like, there are a lot of affiliate deals out there to adhere for in the gambling market, right? Whether it's for sports betting, DFS, poker, whatever. There are a lot of affiliate deals where you can get paid a CTA for every consumer that signs up and deposits, whatever the case may be.
This is the thing, Berg. No, I don't want to cut you off. But the problem with the Doug Polk thing is that because he's never taken like sponsorship money from a site, he's always been like super critical of people that have taken sponsorship monies from a site that went bad and all these things. When he finally does take something, everyone assumes that this has to be like the utmost thing.
Correct.
Because he's never taken sponsorships from anyone else. I'm sure he's gotten offers. He's never taken it. He trashed everyone that like has taken sponsorships and things have gone bad, etc. And now he finally takes something. So
right. And to counter that point, he was sitting on a very tall soapbox by not taking any sponsorships and being extremely critical of those who had and fell into the same trap. Right. Yeah. And if we look back through our history, we've always dragged the person who aligned themselves with what ultimately proved to be a bad actor in the space. Right. We dragged Ferguson, we dragged Lederer, we dragged even so far as to go down to like Matt Stout being aligned with Lock Poker, that to this day still never paid back their consumers, right? Like, and obviously there's a deterioration there, right? Ferguson programmed the software for Full Tilt. Howard Lederer was like,
there's levels.
Right below CEO or whatever. He is a part owner of Full Tilt. Matt Stout was literally paid like a monthly to just shill. And I think we've come full circle now to where it's like we wouldn't crucify the Stouts necessarily of the world anymore. But the writing's on the wall, man. This is going to happen again. I don't want to use I don't want to be loose with my examples, but like the poker space is still ripe for this. And we see a lot of names that, aren't the most established in this industry that are aligning themselves with black market sites or call them gray market sites, whatever, right? And we can pick the winners now. It's pretty easy to assume that Stars is now and forever will be a winner in this space. They are a good actor. They've proven that time and time again through the Black Friday ordeal and everything else. It's very likely that they will always be a staple in some way in this industry. Regulated sites like BetMGM, WSOP, Party Poker, these are very likely to be staples. We could assume GG is going to fall under that umbrella, right? But they're still gray, right? They're still more the Full Tilt operator than they are the Stars. Now, do I think that means anything nefarious is going on? Probably not. Like, I think that they are as close to being a part of that cluster of solidified sites as any other. But when we start to go downstream to a lot of these other ones that are just operating in sheer and utter darkness and then just like signing people left and right, you got to be fucking careful, man. you got to be careful, because if they just cease cash outs one day because Bitcoin dropped 30% and they operate solely in crypto, and now we've really figured out that they haven't segregated their funds, what do? Are you complicit? How are you not?
Rough.
Right? How are you not? You drove money through your platform to these sites.
That's the hard part about it, right?
Right.
It's like you have something, when you put your name on something, like you should be proud of that thing. And like also with that comes a little bit of responsibility. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bad month for Doug, man. Like that whole like woman thing with like the weight and then now this, like.
I mean, he's just kind of like the king of bad takes whenever you zoom out and look at the entire resume as a whole, right? In each individual aspect, starting all the way back in 2016, whenever he first decided to be a YouTube personality, it was just clear that like what got clicks was going to be controversy. What got clicks was call out culture and all this other stuff, right? And it worked in the near term. You could easily zoom in on a hand played or on a statement made in or out of context, whatever, and run with it, right? Like the more rake is better thing got ran with for 6 years before it finally played itself out, right? So like it was easy to do that. And it was also easy to do it without having it turned back on you.
Right.
If you're really just not operating very much otherwise in the space, right? Like he wasn't really playing online at the time. Crypto was so new that he wasn't in any way a voice of it. He wasn't shilling it. He was just doing it on the back channels and making and accruing wealth that way. All of the things that like basically he was calling out, he could never be subjected to himself because he's kind of creating his own public platform and never really being scrutinized by another one, right? But when you zoom out now and look at the total body of context, it's a lot of fucking bad trash takes, right? Like this handful of people that are shit regs, it's like, okay, relative to what, and like you start to look at things like the body shaming thing a month ago or whatever the case may be, or the people that were dragged for representing poker stars back whenever, like the way he dragged Negreanu for being a Stars pro and how awful Stars was. Like, yeah, there was a moment in time where Stars was bad to the regs. But if we zoom out and look at the grand scheme of the resume of Stars, they're one of the best actors that we've seen in this industry. They've saved online poker numerous times, right? And maybe that torch is being passed to GG now. It's tough to really say, but the whole point is like now that's just a bad take. Like the absolute take of this is unfair to pull Supernova Elite from the regs, reasonable. But the years of dragging that company, bad take, right?
Yeah.
Bad take for dragging Negreanu for being a part of that company, because now that company didn't do anything that poorly to its consumer base to where they actually got fucked out of money, right? But Coinflex did. Now you're on the other side of it. Now you're in the limelight to be scrutinized. And like one part of the statement that I thought was like really laughable was he pointed to the fact that he's being dragged like on crypto channels, on Reddit, and there are all these threads about him. He was like kind of appealing to sympathy. And it's like, holy shit, man, if this doesn't fall on deaf ears, then we are all the stupidest people on the planet and deserve what we get. Because it's just like, come on, like, no.
Yeah. What can you do? You got to taste your own medicine a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm sure like he'll just happily take it on the chin, because what else can you do? Like, actually, I don't know how he'll handle it. But if I were in his shoes, this would be a learning moment to eat a little crow, right? Like this is an opportunity to grow a bit and say, okay, not only am I going to do my due diligence a little bit better next time, but maybe I'll think twice about just like being a shithead on the internet for clicks 24/7.
Maybe not, man. Maybe he just makes a video out of us. This is next week. Next week we got a breaking news. Solve for why comes out and does a video on me now, and then they all make fun of us.
Yeah,
and it's cool. Whatever. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't go back.
Well, I do think that like appealing to distraction culture is a really good way to make stuff like this go away, right? Mm-hmm. And he's enough of a personality, and he's well liked enough amongst the community that can happen, right? Like, what was like the All American Dave thing, right?
All American.
No one was happier about the cheating stuff getting launched than him.
Yeah.
Right. Because it just instantly Yeah,
But
the
Brandon
distraction culture immediately made this a non-thing.
It's like, ooh, what's next?
Yeah,
You
and
have
I
it.
think when you're a big personality like Doug, who has a platform with a bunch of people listening, it's not hard to find that next distraction
drive a
and just
narrative.
point people, drive them in droves
Yeah.
to
Yep.
it.
Well, he has to, right? He has to make more videos and stuff because like he still has to push his business of the lodge and upswing. So like he still has to create content, I believe.
Also, going to be murky waters moving forward, man. Like
Yeah.
nothing really positive has been coming out of Texas poker news as of late.
Yeah.
You know, it's a seedy scene right now. And I'm not saying that in the way that like people shouldn't go to Texas and play or that it's a bunch of bad people there. I think the exact opposite. I fucking love it there.
Yeah,
I'm rooting so hard for the Texas ecosystem to flourish. But the structure of the businesses right now definitely are not in the best interest of the consumer outside of the fact that it's low rake.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary, right? Because there's this misalignment now of security and availability. The availability is just trumping security by like 10x, right? New rooms are just popping up and they're becoming less and less secure. Not speaking about the lodge. I don't think that about them at all. They've been well established and they're the biggest mover in Austin by a long shot. But the Houston market is a good example where it's been well established long before Austin. And there were a couple winners and then a bunch of very small rooms just trying to crop up and get their little slice of the pie. And with each one, you hear more and more of these acts of, or lack of safety. And again, like we talk about, this is always an inside job, right? Even when 3Bet Panda got shot in the parking lot of TCH in Austin, that was alleged to have been a tip from the guard that's working. There's no way around that, man.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's just no way around that. And as long as that loophole exists from a safety standpoint, it means that you're operating in an insecure environment or an unsecure environment, right? Like that just doesn't happen in casinos because there are proper measures that can be taken. They're an actual financial institution that can, work with banks, get real exchanges, offer safety deposit boxes. Like there are just a million safe havens that can be taken. There's on-site housing, so like you don't actually have to leave.
Also, there's just like the stuff that happens in Houston where they just stop paying people out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
the Johnny
like
Chan
that's
thing.
not going to happen at the Bellagio where
Correct.
it's owned by MGM. That's a public company. Like that's not going to happen.
Right.
Right. Where it's like now they don't pay people out. How do we know that that doesn't happen at some point?
That's a great point because if the Coinflex thing should teach us anything, it's that these exact same type of business structures exist in poker. We just don't see them the same. A Texas poker room is no different than an online crypto exchange, right? It's literally the exact same. They're taking in a bunch of money that you're trusting is safe with them, and then you're hoping to be paid out in the end.
Right.
Well, one day they just lock the doors and say, sorry, you can't cash your chips.
Yeah. A lot of times when there's a lot of money like that being deposited or being collected from a room or something, they don't just have that money sitting in a room waiting for you to like cash out.
Right.
They're doing stuff with it. And if that stuff they do with it doesn't work out, people don't get paid.
Just imagine if, obviously I'm speculating, but imagine if, any percentage of the Texas rooms had decided that it's silly to have so much cash on hand, for risk of robbery.
Yeah, let's all buy Bitcoin with it.
Right. So let's put it into this volatile market that has demonstrated massive returns, right? And they buy in high. They buy in at like the 50K watermark.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it becomes a
Drop
scenario.
60% and you're like,
Yeah, it becomes a scenario where 60% of their liquidity just got eaten.
Yeah.
And they can't cover.
They get greedy.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not even necessarily greed, right? Because in a way, that could be a proactive measure to ensure that you are increasing your bottom line a little bit. But it's where the greed comes into play is like the not understanding how to comprehend risk.
Right.
Yeah. And to lay off properly and
Yeah.
to ensure security.
Well, and then with
Hedge right
especially
way,
with
yeah.
like crypto stuff, it's like they'll start leveraging and then they'll have to keep adding to their position to make the number go lower so that they don't get liquidated, and then it's just keeps spiraling. And if they're any sort of degen, they're just gonna fucking
fire till it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the extreme case, right? If they just literally take like, call it 5% of their cash on hand and invested into crypto, let's say Bitcoin at like 50K mark, right?
Right.
And then it drops 20%.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, well, we need to cost average.
Yeah.
Right. So let's put in another 5% at this. And then it drops 20%.
Which it
right?
has been doing.
Yeah. So now you just keep finding yourself owning a bunch more coins in a market that it might be flat or slightly negative for a substantial period of time.
Yeah.
And, these are relatively small operations. We're not talking about casinos that are bringing in tens or hundreds of millions quarterly, right? We're talking about these smallish rooms that are probably in charge of $1 million or $2 million of their clientele's funds and are bringing in 6 figures monthly. Maybe the biggest room is bringing in 7 figures quarterly, right? Like maybe, or maybe I'm lowballing. I don't know. But the point is that like it's big money to the consumer, but it's small money to the overall. And that is a recipe for RUGS, right? Because you'll just forget about it. Yeah, I lost $6,000 with that random Houston room closing rug. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Like it happens.
It adds up.
Yeah,
it adds up. All right, well, main event.
Day 2, baby.
Still in it.
See what happens.
Day 2. You guys might get to play with Doug.
Maybe.
Stop.
He's flying in for tomorrow. Facts.
Stop.
He's gonna apparently wear a Darth Vader suit.
I drew seat 1.
Is he really flying in tomorrow?
You drew seat 1?
Yeah.
That's a problem for you?
I hate seat 1. I never know what's going on.
You are small. You're very
I can't
small.
ever see over any dealer.
Right.
So I don't know what seat 10's doing.
Yeah. Well, luckily it'll only be seat 9.
Please, no fucking.
Okay, seat 9.
First of all, I have a problem.
Okay.
This is ridiculous. Okay. It's 11 p.m. Why are we playing 10-handed? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear, oh, because everyone has to play 10-handed if one person is 10-handed.
I was playing 7-handed most of the day.
Like, everyone, like, at all different times of the day, different tables have different amount of people in it. Like, you have a cap where it's like, okay, I think it's like, was it 5, Berkey? Like, you can if you get lower than 5, then you stop playing. Lower than 6?
6 at 10-handed, 5 at 9, I think.
Okay. So...
Or maybe it's 7 at 10, 6. Yeah, whatever.
My whole section, I was in the white section, like towards the end. That whole section, they broke a whole bunch of tables. And they're breaking them to make our tables 10-handed.
Yeah.
And I'm like so confused. Why are we... I remember reading, and I trusted them, the WSOP, saying we're going to do everything in our power to keep it 9-handed, but you're gonna have to, if you sign up for D, you're gonna be 10-handed possibly. It's like, okay, but it didn't feel as if they were doing everything in their power to keep it 9-handed,
right?
At all.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you breaking tables to fill up 10-handed seats? I'm so confused. Why is there a fucking daily running?
We were 9-handed for the whole day. We were 9-handed for the first 3 levels.
Yeah.
Then after dinner break, that's when we went to 10-handed.
Same. I was like 7-handed for most of the day.
Well, you say you
and
went
at
to
the
10.
very end.
They didn't add a seat. They just filled it.
They just filled it. It was not filled. Like, it just wasn't filled. But I don't think anybody was filled.
Right, but that's so confusing. People are busting.
Yeah, I think when people bust, instead of bringing a table, you should start to pull a chair.
Yeah.
But I think
what is happening, man?
Well, I think that they're running 500 tables, and it feels unfair if 10% of them are playing 9 and 90% are playing 10.
Look,
I get
as
it.
a player,
It's
this is
variance.
how I would do it. I think they need to understand how the players feel. If you're telling me you're doing everything in your power to keep it 9-handed, and I happen to draw a 10-handed table, I'm like, all right, fuck, unlucky.
Yeah.
Like, unlucky you got the 10-handed table. Even if there's a bunch of tables that are 9, I understand that I just drew.
But I guess
unlucky.
that's my point: is that you understand that 75+% of the tables would remain 10, right? Because only 25% of people are going to bust on day 1.
Okay, but still, it's rather than 100% being 10.
Yeah, actually, maybe I think I'm wrong. I'm wrong.
I mean,
all tables could have been 9-handed if 25% of people bust.
Somebody's gonna bust.
Yeah.
So that's my point. So why are we saying?
I think you're right.
Why are we saying like you're doing everything in your power to keep it 9?
You're 100% right. The second that they have the urge to break a table, they should instead pull chairs.
Yeah,
because that means that they're doing it for cost reasons.
Yeah.
They're doing it because they want to run the fucking daily, man.
Yeah,
they don't have to pay as many dealers.
Correct.
They're like, we already got this rake. Here we go. Run another tournament.
Yeah, you either get to run another tournament or you get to send dealers home.
Exactly.
Either way.
All right, so then don't lie to us.
You're
don't
right.
lie to us. That's all. Just don't lie. Just tell us it's gonna be 10-handed straight up. Don't be like, oh, we're gonna do everything in our power to keep it 9. No, like, listen, you play day 1D, you're gonna be 10-handed after dinner. That's it.
Yeah.
Sign
I mean,
up or
to be
don't.
fair, if you didn't get 10-handed until after dinner, I think that's pretty lucky.
Yeah, I was.
See why that guy
I was
got
like
smacked
7.
in the. That's what happens.
Chin out there again, man.
I know.
You just
This
strolled
is
through the
why
main
he was
event.
smacking people around.
I wasn't even mad. I wasn't even like mad until I saw them running a daily or some shit, and I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is the fucking main event. Like, why am I listening to some speaker going, dealers in the daily, blinds are up? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand.
I didn't mind it that much, but it was really hot. It was hot in that room.
Were you in Paris or Bally's?
Bally's.
Oh, yeah. That's,
But it wasn't
everybody's
hot
cramped
until
there.
they started like consolidating so much because everyone was just like packed in
Yeah.
this one
Yeah.
spot. and it was,
I
like-
will say, I understand your point that you're making, but I will say by comparison to the old Rio, playing in Paris now is the equivalent of playing in the pavilion.
Yes.
And you have to acknowledge that, like, Paris is 1,000 times better.
So much better.
Thousands times.
Like,
do
imagine
Paris
playing
for day
all of
two.
day 1 10-handed in the pavilion.
Yeah.
That's like the Nutlow experience
Yeah.
to have on
sure.
in the main event.
For sure.
Yeah. So like, if I'm gonna listen to daily announcements, I'm very happy to not be in those old ass crusty vinyl chairs. I'll never forget this. I remember. I don't know like what event it was. It wasn't the main or anything, but I was like walking through the pavilion to take my seat, and I see Minkin, and those old ass vinyl chairs. I don't know who built them or what table they were built for, but they're certainly not built for like a normal table height. Like they were legitimately like 2 or 3 inches lower.
Yeah.
And I see Minkin, and I swear to you, I shit you not, that her chin was just about resting on the rail. And I walk over to her, and I have this like this human tool is what it's called. It's like a bike saddle that, you know, it's good for posture, but it also
for
it gives
posture.
gives you that little boost. And I walk over to her, I go, "You need this so much more than me."
That's funny.
Did she take it?
Yeah, she loved it. It's like, I can see. You know, like, I honest to God, I'm not kidding. I don't
She's
think
like,
she
"I
could
raised."
rest. I legit don't think she could have rested her elbows comfortably on the table.
That's crazy.
Like, you know, it would have been one of these, like, up here type things. You just get exhausted.
Oh, man.
Like, man, I feel
Anyway,
it.
that was my only beef yesterday. It was a fun day, but that was
Yeah, it was
wild.
a lot of fun.
You'll be more comfortable tomorrow.
Real bad,
A lot of
huh?
fun that day.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
That was
You
a lot
played
of
well.
fun.
You were happy with your play. That's all that matters.
was-
My heart breaks for you playing
He's
10-handed.
trolling this shit out of him.
No,
No,
I'm not.
I feel good about it.
I I very much regret not playing 1D. I will say that. That's my biggest regret.
That's the
Not,
sacrifice
You know
you
why?
made for
You know
the
why you
show.
didn't? For the fans.
it's
So
for
we
the
can keep
fucking
this show
pod.
going.
Yeah.
For one extra day.
Two.
You did that.
2 extra days.
Yeah.
There would be no show tomorrow because I was
Oh,
going to
that's
bag,
right.
obviously.
Yeah.
There would be no show tomorrow.
Obviously.
Obviously. Obviously busted.
But
Obviously.
No.
Yeah, I did. You
I
busted.
be busted?
2 hands
Hey,
before the end
Landon,
of the day.
Landon
How?
can still run the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How?
Two hands before the end of the
Short.
day. Like literally with like 3 hands
Wow.
left.
He had
Short
like
being, he
100K.
jammed 30 bigs, button small blind with king 10 suited, so that's just good. And he lost ace queen.
Wait, he just open ripped?
No, button open, he jammed small blind.
Oh. Yeah.
King 10 ace queen. And that
Yeah,
was
of
it.
course it's good. He's the goddamn GOAT.
Yeah.
But you know, it was day 1 of the main event. Probably could just play call.
Yeah.
Everyone fucking plays call there.
Yep.
I'm not having this conversation again.
No,
No.
I'm
No,
just
no,
saying.
no,
I'm
no,
not
no,
saying
no.
you should. I'm just saying everyone I see at my table is just
Yeah.
playing call there.
Can't be too safe, man.
And they always get me, man.
There was a
because
hand-
like I have 10-9 off and they have king 10 suited.
There was a hand on PokerGo. I literally turned the coverage off immediately after. I go, this is the main event effect, and I can't let it rot my brain. It went like under the gun open, middle position calls with king jack suited.
Yep.
Button calls with 7-6 suited.
Yep. Ace queen in the
Small
big
blind calls with 9-8 suited,
Yep.
and that's it.
That's it.
That's
man.
everybody.
Nobody wants to
Okay.
raise. You gotta see fuck.
Ivy was the one with 7-6 suited, by the way.
course.
Not that that really matters. but-
Let's just
or
quick.
6-5 suited, 6-5 suited. So somehow they all have spades. 9-8 suited, 6-5 suited, king jack suited, all spades. Ace 10 offsuit, no spade, right?
Okay.
Flop comes 9-8 X, checks through. Okay, fine. Ace 10's not going to see bet, and once it gets to king jack and 6-5, probably not going to bet. Fine, no big deal. Turn 10. Okay. Ace 10 makes top pair, top kick. King Jack now has 2 overs and a double gutty. 9-8 now has, sorry, it wasn't 9-8 high, it was 9-7 high. So 9-8 now has a pair and an open ender. So the board is 10, 9, 7, deuce, right? Small blind checks, or big blind checks 9-8. Ace 10 bets like 2/3 pot. King Jack goes into the tank. And this man he's here to fucking party. Okay. He's wearing a cowboy hat. He has like the bolo tie
Love
on.
those guys.
He was here for a good time. Or so I thought. Muck. He is not here to party. He is not here for a good time. He has no interest in drawing to the fucking maybe he didn't realize he had a double gutter. I don't know. That's possible. It's possible. Maybe he thought under the gun open with Jack 8. Also
See, this
possible.
is why I never want to get on the feature table, because then I'm gonna have to start playing hands like that. I'm gonna have to actually play the king.
We're gonna see how
I'm gonna be like,
nitty
oh
you
man,
really
I would
are.
always fold here, but now I gotta play it because it's correct.
First 3 positions opened. I guess I have to look at my cards since I'm on the feature table.
They're legit.
I have to play ace queen now.
They're legit like 60K effective. The bet was like 2,000. And he's just like, nah, really not feeling this draw. Fold.
The man said,
Ivy obviously folds 6-5. He's drawing dead. Mucks it, right? 9-8 now. Middle pair, open ender. Facing 2/3 pot.
Mucks.
What are you calling with? What the fuck are you calling with?
Let's just quickly go back to the ace. How much do you think King 10 suited jams small blind versus the button open? No, let's just take a survey around the room. Let's take a survey. How much do you think this jams?
Thank you guys so much for tuning in
Thank
today.
you. Have a good
He
one,
just
guys.
looked it up.
We get it,
He
man.
looked it up and silently showed me, and I was like,
It's a pure jam.
I had already tuned out. I was like, what are you
But
showing
it does.
me?
But all I said was the people don't.
We know that it's a pure
And
jam.
you know what? And that's okay.
That is okay.
They fucking trap you.
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta
They
have some
trap you
traps,
because you
I got
open
trapped by
Jack 10
aces.
off
He
and they fly
flatted
with King 10
aces.
suited.
You
It's
gotta have
because
some
people are
traps.
scared.
An
It's
old man
fear.
flatted the big blind with aces versus Melissa 300 blinds deep.
Yes,
And got
that
her.
did happen.
And
I
she-
got,
And then
got
bet into her 3 times.
yeah,
He
we
didn't
led
trust her.
3 times, and then Landon says raise river, and I'm like, I'm not gonna raise river when he leads into me 3 times.
Yeah.
It's
It's just an experience. He doesn't know how to
is.
adjust to the field.
Bro, listen. all I know is that every time we go back to this 10 years later, and all those people were right.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
In 10 years, when the new solve comes out, and it's like King 10 suited is a pure call. And I don't.
You want to know what the funny part is to me? Is that
Not a pure call, it's a pure
over the-
jam.
well, including last fall, but also like mainly this week, I've had some pretty exhaustive discussions with both Landon and DePaulo. Right, this is both their second main events. Both busted main event on day 1, first attempt. DePaulo actually
I didn't
bagged
bust
pot-
mate. No, I bagged 1K.
Fair.
I bluffed it all
Wait, you
minus
bagged
1K.
1,000 chip?
He did.
You
He
took it
bagged
out of your
one chip
fucking
because he's a
pocket.
professional, Melissa. He bluffed on the last hand of the night and left the chip back.
Oh yeah.
So funny.
I didn't
You
want
know
to
what kind of heart it takes to run a bluff with 1 chip back, knowing that it is going in a bag if you get called?
I didn't want to lose.
I'd be so afraid they lost my bag because it's just like empty.
It just falls out.
The Tortoise doesn't want to bluff last hand they
They'd
made.
be like, wait, nobody. Oh, this is just an extra bag here.
That's
That's the chip that the Tortoise held on to till November.
Imagine if they just disqualified him. They just gave it to him as a souvenir. They're like, you don't get to play anymore, but
Yeah,
you get to
just
take
take
this
this
chip.
chip.
No, I drew
it.
button and got ace-6 off. It was the dream.
Yeah, it was very
When I
unlucky.
was out.
The
Very,
dream.
very unlucky. But so now DePaulo has survivorship bias this year because he bagged 4
House.
starting stacks or some shit. And between talking to both of them, they each represent the extreme opposite ends of the spectrum as to how to approach the main event, right? Like DePaulo's like, yo, I would just if someone 4-bet me, I would just fold range. Just range fold, bro. Just there's no way I'm calling. He's like, I learned last year, I would just fold 9s. It's like, why would you fold 9s? Like, just make a fucking 9. You know what I mean? Like,
because they don't make 9s.
it just well, it sounds like what happened is he made a
made
9
2
last year and lost to a bigger set.
Yeah.
Chip, you made 2 9s this year in a 4-bet pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
3,
Quads.
actually.
I got.
He made all the 9s.
Yeah. I 3-bet and some guy 4-bet and I peeled with the ace 9 suited and it came 9-9 something.
See?
You love to see it.
See, DePaulo would tell you that you are just the worst player in the. But anyway,
Maybe
my point
I
is,
don't know.
My point is that he's pure folding to 4 bets, and Landon's like flirting with, well, the machine jams ace queen here 10%. So I think maybe we just run it, kind of thing, right? So they're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and what I find as an old head who's been through both of these thought processes to exhaustion is that I'm in the middle, hating both of them. I truly just hate them both, and the only response I ever want to give is, you don't fucking know. You've only played it twice. Right. Like, you just don't know what it's like to get dealt the judge's game on day one, where there's a card player in the bunch, Right. And you also don't know what it's like to show up into a fucking 50K high roller in the main event when you're supposed to get the judge's game.
Yeah,
it's true. Like, just keep showing up. Keep showing up. I think that both of them have very valid points.
Yeah.
I think that if you lean into either extreme, you're going to kill yourself trying to like jump through these mental hurdles, right? Like, the answer is, if you're a good player, man, show up, play a good strategy.
Ivy probably went home and was like, why do I listen to these kids shoved fucking King 10 suitors?
He's like text Kuhn afterwards, and he's just like, yo, you told me that this is a pure shove at 30? These fucking guys always have it. Why am I doing? Not only that.
No, you can't always have it when you're supposed to open 50% from the button.
But they don't.
Yeah, but
they
don't.
They open 30.
Doesn't mean reality.
How do you always have ace queen?
We don't live in a fucking sim.
How do you have ace queen?
We don't live in a sim.
Wait. So here's how this scenario plays out, right? So he texts Jason that, and Jason's just like, oh man, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I mean, I would have shoved there. Like, I would have busted. He would have hold up. And he gets a group chat together, and now it's like him, Jason, and Phil. so it's Ivy, Hellmuth, and Kuhn. Like, all right, hand history for you. 30 effective button open suited half-heads. We have King 10 suited. Phil Ivy, Hellmuth, all you see are the bubbles popping up, right? And Kuhn goes, yeah, man, I think it's a pure jam. Bubbles just start popping up faster. It's just like, fold.
Gotta fold a lot.
Call. Lead on the flop.
It's so wild because like the way that I ended up busting the main,
jam 9-eye.
the way that I ended up busting the main this year after losing the ace king versus jack slip is I had 3 bigs and I waited till I was in the big blind because I didn't get a very good hand. So I had to post my blind. I posted the ante and I had 1 big behind, and then the button opened to 3x. Small blind calls. I just flicked the last of it in with the 8-3 off because we're getting a really good price. Flop comes 9-5 deuce, check. Button bets like half pot. I'm like, well, that's not great. Small blind folds, and he just has the deuce 4 off. Like, he just wanted to kick me out of the tournament.
He hated
the turn was a 4. I was dead. I was
dead. Oh, yeah.
He just wanted to kick me out of the tournament. I'm like,
you were
well,
ahead.
that's it.
GG's.
We'll be seeing you, and I was gone.
All right.
But I live on through you.
Well, speaking of gone and living on, Landon and I will be here tomorrow, aggressively sweating the 4 of you.
No,
Okay.
we'll be molding.
We'll do you proud.
Nope. I've already
Can you
molded.
please anti-sweat me?
No.
Yes.
No.
I need
My anti-sweats
that.
come through.
So do mine.
No. I mean, like, I'm good at like getting people to bust that I want to bust.
Oh, I'm not.
You don't want that evil
Okay.
cast upon.
Wait, I thought that you had anti-sweat that made people win.
No. I bust the people who go on to win.
Okay, then don't
It's too
anti-sweat
late.
me.
Once I've given them my lucky
I
chips.
only anti-sweat
bust
really.
you.
I only anti-sweat
Correct.
people that
Yeah.
are too nice.
Yeah, sorry. They bust me. Let's get that clear. We'll be here cheering you guys on from afar, updating as the day progresses. Maybe I'll get Brent here. I'm gonna
Predictions
Yeah.
for stacks?
No.
Hold on. Let's
I
do
don't
this.
have one.
What's the goal tomorrow, Lamanna?
Huh?
What's
To put chips in the bag.
Yeah. How many? Then? What are we looking at?
Any.
chips. No,
1,000 chips?
I'll take 10 big
One,
ones. Date
a 1K chip. I don't know. Like you said, I don't like breaking goals, but yeah.
What do you think your expectation is?
My expectation is to have
we can do the math.
200K.
Wow.
What does
do
Big
what?
Blind
How
start
much?
at on day 3?
200K. 2K.
You end at 2K.
Yeah,
right?
200K would be
Sorry,
nice.
2K is the last level.
Yeah.
So we come back to
25.
24, 25?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a number between 25,000 And let's say
Connie can't ever bag less than 10 bigs.
600,000.
Wait, what did your RNG say
Why
last
isn't the
time?
RNG? Hold on. Why is the RNG not between 0 and whatever you think peak is?
No, because he's got it.
Because I'm not.
He's not going to say
He's
zero.
not gonna bust.
You
I'm
have
not
to
gonna
put
bust.
You
zero.
have to include a percent. Like it's only a look. If you put 0 to 600,000, it means that you have like a .000006
No, but you have someone his expectation
chance.
is. He's
But
not
you
going to
asked me
say
my
zero.
expectation is. It's not 0.
I don't care. I'm only asking you to give
What is
yourself.
it? Just tell us your number.
I'm literally asking you.
Anyway, I don't give a fuck what you guys have to say. I'm going to bag 554,000
Let's fucking
and
go.
120.
I just asked this guy to
Alright.
give himself 1/600,000th of a chance to bust the event, and he said no.
He doesn't want to put it in the air. He doesn't want to
I'm
put it
not
in the
busting
air.
the event. I'll just get there. Fuck.
Okay, Conrad's claiming he's going to be chip leader after the end of day 2.
No. Some guy already bagged 560.
No.
No.
300.
No,
All right,
it was
guys,
300,
300. I just saw
300.
somebody
370 or
bagged
something.
560.
No, they didn't.
Unless they fucked up.
They fucked up.
They didn't.
That was some Prince shit. He's selling for day 2. He's like, I bagged 560, man. Give me 5.0.
Somebody will bag over $1 million tomorrow.
Nah, there's no
It
way. I don't
was
think
Patrick Clark, 410K.
Yeah,
that
I guess
was-
it's possible
But he
to bag
started
400
no.
bigs.
My
started
RNG
today.
says 358K.
Yeah, that's what I thought
you
it
guys
was.
are rich.
No,
I
my
can't- Oh, that's-
RNG.
no, that's what
my
she's gonna
prediction.
bag.
350?
Somebody
That's what my
bagged
RNG said.
580,000. How Chen?
That's nuts, bro.
What do you got?
What's big blind? 2,500?
Yeah.
It will come back. Yeah.
I would like to bag 250,000.
Yeah,
There you
100
go.
bigs would
100
be
I
nice.
think my peak day 2 stack was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 580.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's similar to what I'm going to bag.
Yeah, that's called feast or famine, and you feasted.
Well, it was when it was 50K, and that was chip lead. So this idea that someone's gonna bag $1 million means people are fucking really steaming it off. Possible.
Sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do.
I mean, just like 100 bigs would be nice.
Yeah, keep that 100 bigs rolling, baby.
Just keep it through.
At what time do people get short? Like, when does the average stack get, like, effectively, like, call it 50 bigs short?
They
That's
bubble.
the end.
5.
Bubble.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
bubble.
Bubble clinches the tournament a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It drops to 50 and stays at 50 basically from bubble on.
Gotcha.
Small.
580,000. That's like, go home. Just go home.
That guy has.
Just don't even show up.
I know.
that guy has. No, that's not fair to say. But I was gonna say like he has like such a low probability of winning. Like day 1 chip leaders,
They never win.
they have
Yeah.
so underperformed.
Running
in the
good on
history
day
of the
1 is
WSOP.
not
One
as
person did
much
it.
of
Was
a
it- was it
blessing as
McKeon?
people think.
No.
No, it
Somebody
wasn't
did
McKeon.
it.
McKeon did have
In
a
the
run
last,
though,
like,
where he
in the
was
last
like
5,
top
6
10
years.
forever.
Joe
Bag chip
Cata
leader
had
day
a,
1 and won it.
run where he wasn't at risk at any point.
That's
Until
possible.
the
That
FT.
that happens all the time. But that's because for
You're just
2
deep.
days the average
You're
stack's
so
like
deep,
100
yeah.
bigs. Yeah.
I wasn't at risk at any point either.
Oh, I was at risk, and I risked it all, and I don't know.
You got to risk the biscuits. All right. We will be back here tomorrow, probably 11:30ish. Maybe just Landon and I. Hopefully, we're going to talk
We're gonna
Brent
Hanksy.
into joining it. I'm going to try, man. I'm going to try. He's got the kids, Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the Coinflex scenario and how Doug handled it. Would love to have the conversation carry on. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace.